We didn't actually address why we're in camping chairs, did we?
We didn't address. Shall we start by saying who we are, and then we'll talk about the camping chairs? So I'm Ross.
And I'm Jenny.
I'm a data scientist, and Jenny is...
I'm a digital marketer, and I do all the marketing for Game Oracle.
Yeah, we're Game Oracle. So what we do is we built a map of the Steam marketplace to try and help understand opportunities and risks.
And just to see what games really exist out there, to be honest, because it's really difficult sometimes to discover new games. A lot of them are sort of hidden. I don't know, just hidden. The tag issue.
Tag system is a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we kind of just want to create like healthier statistics.
Yeah.
For indie game development, so you're really like comparing yourself to actual competitors.
Yeah, rather than people who you think are similar, and they might be similar, but there might be more similar games that have more features like your game that you just don't even know about. So yeah, that's why we started Game Oracle.
So a market research platform.
Yeah.
And hopefully it will become like your companion, your guide to while you're
your travelling guide to Steam. And it's not just market research really, is it? It's more about sort of if you're stuck knowing what to build, or you want to check whether like it's worth building.
Creative ideas.
Yeah, it's not just market research. Like I feel like market research has such a stigma. But only because it sounds boring, and like I'm a market research nerd because it's really important for marketing. So and then part of all this, after we built the Steam map, we were like, oh, I wonder if we can watch Steam over time, and that's essentially what we're going to talk about today. Is
evolution of Steam.
The evolution of Steam. So
we have a blog. You can read the blog. And another video.
And there's another video.
Which I assume you're going to
I will link in this video. Yeah, I found
Jenny
out
does
how
all
to
the
do that.
editing, because I can't do anything that's outside of a Python console.
I mean, Ross can do a lot. Like, I'm not going to lie.
Why are we in camping chairs?
Oh, it's the only chairs that we own that would fit in this corner of our living room, and we can sit on them for long periods of time.
Yeah.
DIY podcast. So why did we want to look at the evolution of Steam? Let's start there.
It was one of those classic things of, oh my God, it'd be so cool to see how Steam changes through time. Because I don't think anyone has visualized the Steam marketplace like we have before. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone on the internet has built a map of Steam before. Please comment.
Yeah,
we'd love to know. We'd like to know that we're not the only ones. But of course, if you've got a map of Steam, like if you can see all of Steam in a 2D image, you can take the release dates of when games were released, and you can progress that map through time. So you can see. We started in 2012 because if you go too far back, there's just like not that many games.
It's just
on
black.
Steam.
Like there's no bright areas. Like on the evolution of Steam video, we started 2012 and it's already like quite dim. Like there's only like a few bright areas there. So that pre-green light era is where we start, isn't it? Because before the green light era, Steam didn't allow many, if any, titles that weren't made by Valve, which are if you don't know, are the owners of Steam.
I think people know that.
I hope so, yeah. We started at 2012 because it's when things started getting interesting on Steam. And then how did you actually map the Steam evolution? Like, how did you look at it through time?
So we use Python for everything. Like we use sort of classic data science tools. And we've built this model that can tell you the similarity between games. It uses all of the information that you find on a store page. So it's not just based on like the tags, which is how most people tell what games are similar to one another, but it's based on the descriptions, the imagery, the features, the game mechanics, and we're going to hopefully improve it with like add even more data, even more information about what makes a game a game.
Yeah.
But that basically gives you a 2D map where each data point is a game. And if data points are close to one another, they are similar games.
Yeah.
And if you stack up enough, you end up with, it's almost like a terrain where lots of games create these mountainous peaks. And when there's not many games, you get like sort of valleys. We've visualized that as a heat map. So how do I visualize that over time? You take the map as it exists in 2025, which can map all the similarity between all these games.
Yeah.
So what we do is we roll the map back in time based on the game's release date, and we just start removing games as we go back in time. So we go to 2024, all the 2025 games have been removed.
Yeah.
2023, all the 2024, 2025 games have been removed. We just keep rolling back.
Right. So instead of adding games, you take them away.
Yeah.
And then when we show it in the video, you start at the beginning.
And that's why the map stays consistent through time, and you can see markets sort of grow. And so, I mean, if you were to build the map each year, it wouldn't be consistent because, say, in 2012, in 2012.
That's way in the future.
Yeah,
Who knows what Steam will look like by then?
In 2012, there was no VR market, right? So.
Well, did VR headsets even exist at that point?
I think they did.
Yeah.
I think there was like some early headsets.
Yeah, you know those
but they
ones
weren't affordable.
You know those ones that you see at like game festivals where they're like plugged in and there's like a huge wire like going up to something somewhere. Is that probably where they were in 2012?
That was probably like earlier than that. I think they were around. They just weren't affordable.
Right. Yeah.
And then in 2016, HTC and like.
What a throwback! HTC.
Oculus.
Oh yeah, Oculus. Was it like the Oculus Rift?
Yeah, the Oculus Rift, which then got bought by Meta,
right,
or Facebook at the time.
Yeah.
And
sorry, there's a fly just.
Yeah, so that's how we created, created the map of Steam.
Yeah, and so over time we watch it sort of fill out all these different markets. There was like a next bit to that because when you're watching all of Steam grow, it's quite disorienting to like watch all these different markets and you can't really tell what's growing when and like what year what is trending in what year. So you did something else, didn't you?
Yeah, because it's quite difficult to follow because you're looking at like a heat map in really like low resolution.
Yeah.
Sorry, not low resolution, high resolution. Lots and lots of squares.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of squares.
Really tiny squares.
Little tiny squares, and those squares contain lots of similar games. So yeah, it's quite difficult. Basically, I used a clustering algorithm, but a special clustering algorithm that I learnt about in my PhD. Basically, what we're doing is finding similar games in a very high-dimensional
you're basically making market segments out of these similar games, aren't you? So segments of games that are similar enough that they could be called like a genre or like a subgenre or something like that. And that was like the second phase to this research, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not perfect because ideally what you want, and what we do in GameGap, which is like our other tool for exploring market segments, is we look at segments that overlap with one another. Because the thing is, like games, like how do you define what a game is? How do you define how games are similar to one another?
And they all overlap. Like there's so many different combinations of mechanics, isn't there, that you could go for that. You can't really put them into boxes, and we shouldn't really because they're art. But
for the purpose of this like analysis, we kind of had to be able to make it like to be able to visualize how Steam is changing over time. So we clustered, or I clustered the games together to create market segments, which look like blobs in the video. The white blobs. And you can see like these blobs grow over time, and then I coloured the blobs by how much the market is growing in that particular segment.
So it was how many releases compared to the previous year.
As a percentage. So like if the market segment was growing, like say it doubled or even tripled compared to the year before in terms of the number of releases, then it would be bright red. Whereas if the number of releases was less than the year before, say it was half or a quarter of the size, then it'd be really blue.
Yeah.
And that's a way to visualize how the markets are changing.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to like caveat that what we're looking at here is we're not looking at players and we're not looking at player interest.
Yeah.
We're almost looking at game developer interest.
And what they're interested in building each year. Like basically like trending types of games that people are making, I guess, every year. Yeah.
So and we want to see how Steam is changing over time. And of course they're like heavily correlated. People are building what people are interested in, but also people are interested in what people are building. So the two like drive one another. It's a really interesting mechanic between like players influencing what developers build and developers just building something unique and crazy, which then drives what players want to play.
Well, a great example of that is a game that we talk about all the time, which is Lethal Company, which we call that like a god tier game, don't we? Because it almost started that horror co-op or a segment of the horror co-op genre. No,
I wouldn't say it started. It was definitely like, but it made it really, really, really popular. And really like that sort of, well, it coincided perfectly with like TikTok, didn't it? Because like short form video, like viral, memeable moments. And that's what like co-op horror games are great for. You get a streamer, you get friends online playing together. And it just makes great like content. But then that drove more people to build that type of game.
Is there anything else that you think that influences what developers are building, apart from sort of like someone makes a great game and then players love that game, so other developers are like, I'll maybe try and make a similar game because it looks fun and players are loving it?
I think technology really drives. I mean, we can see that with the VR bubble, right? So we call it a bubble because it blew up and then collapsed sort of after sort of 2017, 2018, unfortunately. That was, of course, driven by that new technology. But I think now you probably see a lot of games being driven by the types of tools that are available and readily available. So I mean, the Unreal Engine is more accessible than ever. You've got Godot. Godot is bringing in more developers. There's more and more technologies online to help developers sort of explore so many tutorials, so many people helping. But then, it's not a science, it's an art. And art is unpredictable, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't think we can claim that the Steam map can perfectly predict what's coming. It can show trends. I think there's some things that are drivers and then other things we just don't know until someone comes along and surprises us and builds something absolutely out, like just sort of left field that we would have never thought about.
I mean, a shameless plug for our outlier list here, but every time I look at the outlier list, I'm like, oh my god, I know this is the point, but I've never seen a game like this before.
Like, I love Medic Pacific War. So like the idea that you play, that has been done before, but never to that. According to what I can see on the Steam map, that's been done before, but no one has done it with like that level of graphic detail. Like, it looks like a third person or first person shooter. But you're playing as a medic and you have to like make moral decisions and dodge sort of bombs, and you're not shooting people, you're trying to save people. It's so cool.
It's so clever. Yeah, like a complete war from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
It feels like, you know, that episode in this is a bit niche, but like Band of Brothers, because we watched it recently, didn't we? And they do that episode where it's from the perspective of the medics instead, and it's literally like playing that episode. Which I love. But we got off on a bit of a tangent there because we were talking about. I was going to ask you, like, because VR is the thing that like really explodes out of nothing, and I think that's really interesting because I really don't know that many people with VR headsets, and I see a lot of people talking about, or a lot of my friends saying like, oh, I'll get a Switch, or I'll get a PS5, or an Xbox, or whatever, but no one's really saying like, oh, I'll get a VR headset or something.
I'm not going to get a Meta Quest. I think I know maybe one or two people with a Meta Quest.
Yeah, I don't. My cousin's got a VR headset. I don't know what it is though. But he's got one and he's had it for a while actually. But it feels like you need like a lot of space. To play VRs in some cases.
I think there's a number of things. I think there's still the issue with some people, they just feel really disorientated and it gives them headaches. I mean, it gives you headaches, doesn't it, when you use VR?
Oh, yeah. Although I did play one VR game that was really cute. It was about a mouse and you like explore this amazing world as a mouse. But I couldn't play it for too long because you take it off and you're like, oh my God. I also played a really good one where it was, you're a bird flying around this sort of post-apocalyptic world, and you can do like challenges and stuff. I can't remember what it was called, and I played it ages ago in the event I did for my old job, like the gaming event, and I loved that. But I always just feel like really disoriented when I come out of it. But I can definitely see the appeal because you really like games are always, the aim is like immersing you in an experience, and like VR really does that, but kind of to like the nth degree in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's I think also the cost. Like if you're going to invest in a VR headset, it's not like you're buying something that you can play different experiences on. You're buying it and you're only going to be doing it for VR, and it's still quite expensive. And and additionally there are still some technological hurdles. So like for some like really powerful games or like really high fidelity games, you still need to connect it up to quite a powerful PC.
Oh, right, okay.
Although I think that like PlayStation has a VR headset and stuff, and it is becoming more accessible. Maybe it will, bounce back. There are still people making VR games, but it's definitely shrunk.
Like shrunk a lot, yeah. And also with VR, it's quite difficult to play multiplayer because you need all your friends to have a VR headset as well, right? Like, or is it possible for you to play VR while your friends are on a console?
I think there are some games. I don't want to say there definitely is, but I'm not really a VR connoisseur.
But it's quite like not everyone likes playing multiplayer. I get that, but like there's not really an option if none of your friends have it.
But then, like it does seem like these days the network effect in gaming is so important.
Yeah.
Like the multiplayer games, multiplayer is such a big thing now, and co-ops.
And also on Steam, there's that function where you can recommend a game to friends, can't you? So, and that's how it a lot of games perpetuate. And multiplayer games give you that automatic like, oh well, you can have up to 4 people playing it.
I think most of my purchases in the last year have been multiplayer.
Really?
Yeah, because like there's the odd title that I'll wait for, whether it's indie or AAA.
Yeah.
But then my spontaneous purchases are always multiplayer because it'll be my friends who I'm like, oh, should we play this game? And we'll try it out. And
Definitely. There's a big part of the video where you talk about things that are declining, things that are going up this year. But over the years from like 2012 to 2025, what was the thing that really stuck out to you as a market that emerged?
There's a particular naughty area of Steam
that
just so 2018 Steam were like, right, we're just going to let anything on. I think because basically Steam had this problem of they'd become the blocker for all of these games coming out.
Yeah.
So many people were like submitted. Was it the green light?
In the green light era,
you had to submit.
You had to submit them, and then players would vote on which games they wanted to see. But I think the NSFW segment arose, like you say, when Steam said we'll allow anything.
Yeah.
But that came about because they felt that they were being too much of a gatekeeper about what was acceptable and what wasn't. So they were like, well, we shouldn't be the authority on this. Yeah. Let's allow anything. I guess within reason, because there were still some rules about like there were still some like vague rules maybe, or there were still some sort of rules about
you can't put like actual real violence on there. You can't incite hate.
Yeah, anything like that. It had to be.
It's so difficult to police.
Oh yeah, I know.
So yeah, like that segment, like after 2018, just exploded. So these are games that are like have really strong adult themes, sexual content, and I mean, if you've got your settings by default on Steam, you're not going to see any of this. But as soon as you turn those settings off, oh my god, Steam's like Pornhub.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot.
And there's like
there.
Every kind of sexual fantasy. Like,
and who are we to judge?
Oh, you know what? I think there's no reason to judge, because whatever you like to play,
it's up to you.
It's up to you, really. And if you want to make games like that as well, then you should be able to, really.
Yeah. But it's that segment started to like grow exponentially after 2018. It outpaced the average market segment.
Yeah.
That was like a really big outlier, and of course we're probably going to see the reversal of that because of the changes recently.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen with that, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's gonna be an interesting time over the next 12 months, because no one really knows what you're allowed to publish and what you're not, which is really sad, because there's probably a lot of developers out there that recognise the value in like NSFW games on Steam, but now they can't make them.
It's again, you have that fundamental problem of it's artwork, and you can't police art because the lines are so blurry.
Definitely, yeah. But also that sexual content tag appears everywhere.
I mean, Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 had sexual content in it, and it's one of the biggest AAAs.
Yeah, and Inzoi, like you can't search for Inzoi on our Steam calculator, like the free version, because it's got a sexual content tag on it, which I find like I would never say that was sexual content. And then every month when I do the monthly
insights.
Like the monthly insights and like the top charts that we do, that you can get on our newsletter.
Such a marketer.
I know. That was such like what's that film with Jim Carrey in it where he's just like the Truman Show.
The Truman Show.
That was basically I just did a Truman Show moment there.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing these top charts, I do turn off the NSFW because I want to make it PG, because it's free and anyone can access it. Yeah. And there's like rules in the UK around accessing like sexual content and stuff online. But then some of the games that are like hidden, like it happened a couple of months ago.
Yeah, this is the problem with the tag system on Steam, and we're that's part of the reason why we built the map.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't rely just on tags. Like obviously it uses them, but you can't, because like you wouldn't want to group like Inzoi with all the NSFW games.
My favourite one is like psychological horror, because so many people tag the game as psychological horror in like a meme kind of way.
Sure.
In like, my game is a psychological horror but from like a funny aspect.
Yeah.
And there's layers to it. People tag their game because, they think that that's their audience rather than that it's the type of game that they're building.
Yeah, and then also like there's been loads of things on Reddit where people have said they get recommended certain types of games because there happens to be a tag in a game that they've played that they didn't realise. It happens a lot with like sexual content tagged games. Like I think someone said they played Raft, which had like nudity tag in it, and then they got recommended like an NSFW game.
I played through Raft with my friends. I cannot remember where the nudity is.
Isn't it like right at the beginning?
Maybe I
where
can't. Yeah,
you're like a naked man or something like that, and you start from
yeah,
nothing.
maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, that's a hilarious consequence of tags, but it's not very useful to a player, and it's not helpful to game developers sometimes as well.
Oh, and then last, just to go back to your original question.
Oh yeah.
The only other one that I can think off the top of my head was, which is again not that surprising, is like the explosion of roguelikes around and like deck builders, especially after Slay the Spire.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so like there was a lot of people being inspired by that. It's a fly. Which is so annoying. Yeah, so that's
So Roguelikes and Deck Builders really blew up.
Yeah, and we're still seeing like the onset of that. Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah.
So...
I mean the deck builder space is quite cool. It's and like the deck builder space is then sort of like moved further into like more card mechanics, and we've seen, like I cover that in the blog, about people taking the success of Beloutro, for example, and innovating on that. So there's one really cool game that's worth a shout out, Deckline, which just looks like this really cool, like gritty game. I think it's set in the First World War, where you're like playing cards with your
fellow
comrades. Yeah. No, that looks. And it's just really like dark and gritty. Yeah.
You love a dark and gritty. Yeah. You love like playing. Well, you love playing Schedule 1 at the moment, don't you? But like horror co-ops seem to have been a big thing for you. Yeah. So like, did you see any an evolution of card games when you were looking, or
only like more recently? And I didn't dive into it as much because I didn't want to like. I wanted to make it more of like a broad analysis of like where things have been moving, but yeah, there's people just being so inventive in that space. There's a lot of talk of like asset flips and people like just jumping on trends, but I don't think people talk about as much just how much innovation happens in the indie game space. And there's really like people take the success of something like Beloutro or Shotgun Roulette, and they are really thinking about new ideas and new concepts and bringing new ideas to that space, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I love how other games inspire other breakout hits as well. It's just such a nice example of just indie game community just taking that creativity to the next level. So let's talk about. We don't like trends that much, but we do talk about trends in the video. And why did you choose to talk about trends in the video?
So we don't talk about trends much because we're worried that they're not as useful. Because by the time you've jumped on a trend, realistically it takes you between a year to 3 years, maybe longer, depending on the type of game you're building, to actually release the game. You run the risk of that trend moving. But it's still just really interesting, right? Trends are really interesting, so that's why we talk about it.
Yeah, and also if you've already got a game that fits into that trend, it's likely that Valve will recognise that trend and make a Steam Fest on it, so that you can probably like join that. So
typing games.
Games. You said there was a huge explosion of typing games.
Grew like by over 200% or something like that. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, was it like 225%?
Something like that. I can't remember. It's not like I did the analysis.
No. Watch the video if you're interested and tell us what it was. But yeah, and then off the back of that, Steam released their 2026 like January to May festivals, and typing games were in that. Yeah. So I think that's a real sign.
So for those that don't know, these are games. I think the key example I use is Blood Typers. Yeah. But like you have to type sequences, type words for your player to take actions in the game. Yeah. So like Blood Typers, to move and to attack, you have to like type out words. It's such a cool idea. Yeah. It's such a cool. I don't know how you build that. It's interesting.
It kind of reminds me of when I was watching the trailers for these games. When I was younger, there were loads of like games or like programs, and I think it was called Mavis Beacon, and it was teaching you how to touch type. My dad, I think it's something my dad was like, oh, you should learn to touch type. Here's a game. It was like this really like odd 2D pixelated game. It wasn't even a game, I don't think. I think it was just like a program to help you learn how to touch type.
Oh wow.
And I'm wondering if like maybe that was like the inspiration to start with, because you could get really good at touch typing from these games. I don't think it's as much of a skill now.
I don't know a huge amount about the genre. If anyone does, like, feel free to leave a comment. But yeah, it's
But it really reminded me, like, the needy streamer overload.
That looks hilarious.
Oh my god! It looks absolutely chaotic. But it does look great, and it really reminded me of that Mavis Beacon thing that I'll find it and I'll pop it up on the screen because if it's even on the internet anymore. I think this was like in the noughties, I think, when computers were just starting and touch typing was like a thing. So I remember my mum would be like she could like really speed type and it was like a real thing at the time. But now
top
like
CV talent.
Yeah, literally. But now I don't think that touch typing, like when I say touch typing, I mean looking at the screen without looking at the keyboard. I think I do that anyway now.
I think it's just normalised. I think if you were born after like 2000, you just know it by instinct.
So typing games, and there was that typing horror game called Blood Typers that we've already mentioned. And what else was there? There was some that were on the decline, like we already talked about VR.
One I didn't talk about in the video, but two actually that declined, and I imagine it's because I think the decline is just a bias in the data. So train simulator games, but I think that's because the studios that are mainly behind them sort of ebb and flow between like focusing on DLC content. The other segment was wrestling games, but both of these segments just have these games that we're going to start talking about them as like black holes. So where they suck up player attention. So you've got these huge big AAA titles. I mean, if you're going to release a game in the like wrestling simulator space, you're competing with WWE. And then AEW came out with a game, was it this year or last year? And even they couldn't compete with WWE. And that's like a big, I think it even came from like THQ, who even make the WWE games anyway. It's just such a huge brand, WWE. How can you... You
can't compete, can you? And like you call them black hole games.
So they suck up all of the players in that space. So those were two segments that reduced, but I guess that's not that surprising considering there's the big...
If they were train simulator games, I can imagine that's quite a difficult genre to create.
I don't know.
No,
I've never
it
tried
just
to
seems
make
quite
one.
complicated. It just seems really complicated because you've got like all the different train schedules and like the different ways that the trains mechanics work.
I think it's more just like it's a bit of a saturated space.
So, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
So those were ones that reduced, but ones that increased, I can just use my phone.
Use your
I can't remember off the top of my head. Mahjong.
They decreased.
Mahjong games. They decreased. That was because of lots of free-to-play games.
So that's an example of...
I'm assuming that's because the data scientist in me. I can never say anything with certainty.
It could have been.
It could have been.
Feels like I'm working in finance again.
It's because, maybe there's a lot of free games.
That were like you said, they were sucking up player attention. So like more black holes, basically.
But then talking about games that are popping. And when we say popping, we're not saying they're popping with players. We're saying game developers are making a lot of these games. So idlers and clickers, there's this big like trend at the moment of like desktop games. So like idle fishing games and... What was the one?
I played Bongo Cat. I had Bongo Cat on my desktop for a while and like collected loads of different hats. That was quite fun. But yeah, you can get like whole cities, or like was it My Little Life?
Yeah, My Little Life.
I think that was a while ago.
There's also
Desk Garden.
Read them for you.
Oh, read them out.
Tiny Pasture, Desk Garden, and My Little Life, which you just said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so
but 120% increase in that market segment.
Really?
Yeah, and a big one around like fishing, casual fishing games.
Oh, do you think that came from web fishing? Because that was a big game recently.
Yeah.
It was web fishing. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily come from anywhere, but
we don't know how many of these games were in development at the same time. It's just whatever one pops off first.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, it's there's definitely a perceived appetite for that kind of game.
What do you think is the draw from like a development point of view? What do you think is the draw to make a desktop game?
I don't know. It's really interesting, right? I'd love to talk to some of these developers and ask them what inspired them to make that kind of game. There's a trend at the moment to making like smaller games, because in this space we can't take as much risk right now because of the economy, because of sort of there's less publisher funding around. People are working in smaller teams now, a lot more going solo. So maybe they're seen as lower risk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually know how you go about making them, because like it sits on top of your desktop. I've not looked into how they're made. So, yeah.
But I suppose they're smaller experiences, but I've seen some quite cute ones as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like for players, I enjoyed Bongo Cat for a while, but then I found that it was quite distracting. And I really like these ones that like that help you with productivity.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite nice. Oh, what was the one with all the pets on it?
I think that's Tiny Pasture.
Is that Tiny Pasture?
Yeah.
I think the more you worked, the more pets that you get. Yeah, which is cute.
Although it looks like it becomes a bit chaotic.
It looks very chaotic. I just have to have
in a cute way. We love the look of the game.
Cute chaos.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like you'd have to have like a whole screen dedicated to the Tiny Pasture. So yeah, desktop games and typing games, which we've already said.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
There was the typing games. There was...
We've said typing games like 5 times now. Did you know that typing games are coming up in 2025? But yeah.
And then just life simulators. So you had Inzoi, which you already mentioned.
Yes.
But there was also 2Pixela and Little Sim World.
Yeah.
And Streamer Life Simulator 2.
Streamer Life.
Yeah.
Love that.
But yeah, so those were the main ones. Of course, there's others. There were so many market segments to look at. I've just pulled out the ones that really jumped out to us. But yeah, that's
nice. Oh, well, I really enjoyed talking about the evolution of Steam.
If you like this and you've got any suggestions, we're happy to do more analysis.
Yeah, we'd love to do different like analysis into genres that people are really interested in. So if in the comments people suggest a genre that you're interested in, just like upvote it or whatever the mechanic is for YouTube. Just like give it a like and we'll go into the ones that get the most likes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we'll see you next time we talk about some research.
Bye.
Thank you.